Oh, hello, I didn't see you filming there. It's me, Braggy. Oh, yes, I'm a Viking. And we love stories on this channel, which is what today is about. Oh, yes, today's a story day. Oh, yes, we love a story day. Oh, yes. Now, I've just been yonder that way in the fields. I've been chopping down a big tree with my axe. Oh, yes. And it's taken me a few days. I've been trying to clear this field for a while, and I took the Dane axe with me because my granddad used to tell me, stories about that field and say there was elves and fairy folk living in it. Do you believe in elves and fairies? Let me know. Now, as myself, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I took the Dane axe just in case. And I've also heard there's a wild bear on the loose and some pesky Anglo-Saxons, on a raid, no doubt, trying to get some more coin, for the little kingdom they're trying to raise. And so I'm sitting in the field. I've been chopping down this tree for a while, and then I got another tree, another tree, and I got thinking, you go back to all those occasions when you're sat in nice long halls and you've been to different places, and it reminded me of a time of this man I met, a man with dark hair and a dark beard. And he was a story teller and a trader. I nearly said story trader. Perhaps storytellers do trade stories, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think storytellers trade in stories? I think they probably do. I know you're all sitting around the fireside, and we was all telling stories, One storyteller would stand up and tell a story, and then it'll be someone else's go, and then it was my go, and I told an old Derbyshire folk tale about this old haunted tree. Oh, yes. And then the storyteller stood up, and he told this story, and I thought I'd tell it to you today. And it comes from down south in the land of Wessex, around Wiltshire, around that area. And the story is called The Elf and a Broken Baker's Spoon. But it's also known as the Fairy's Peel. I mean, you may be asking yourself, well, Braggy, what's a peel? And peel, P-E-E-L, well, a peel is a very old word for a baker's ladle or spoon. And, in the old times, in our times, we have ovens made from clay, and you'd have a wooden ladle to put your bread in and push your bread out after the fire's been then heated up the oven, of course. Not something I get into much myself. I tend to prefer the eating of bread rather than the baking of bread. And it was about this old spoon or ladle. Some say it was a supernatural magical ladle, but that's another story. And so one day, like me, an old farmer, we shall call him Folktale, and Folktale the farmer was out in his fields, and he's gone to one of these fields. It's very much like the field I've been to has a reputation of being haunted by some very strange creatures. And I don't mean ghosts, you don't have to be a ghost to haunt a place. In this case it was elves or fairy folk. Of course, fairies is a much later term, is what we know them as, but in the old days of our ancestors they would call them elves. You get wood elves and high elves and dark elves. Wood elves are my favourite, as we know. Ring that bell. And it was chopping some trees down and hacking out some bushes and getting ready to do some ploughing. And he thought he heard something in the distance. He didn't have a helmet on like me, so his hearing was good. Oh, what's that? He said. He thought nothing of it at first. He thought it was just somebody close by, probably working another field. And he sat down and had a cheese sandwich, cheese cob. Oh yeah, not a cheese bab. He had a cheese cob. And he had a bit of pickle, and yeah, and a bit of mead. Huh. Wonderful. I'm getting hungry now. I'm going, see ya. And And so, you know, he sat down again and he started hearing this strange voice. You know, he got his ear out. Oh, there's that voice again. What was all that about? He started scratching his beard, as you do when you ponder things. Oh, I wonder what that could be. And so, you know, after he'd had his food, his lunch, he got up and he started to walk round the edge of the field. He thought, that's it, I'm gonna find out what this is, because it's been going on all morning and it's bugging me, you know. And he took his axe, not a Dane axe, he was poor, he could not afford a Dane axe. The only axe he could have was a standard old farmer's axe, a bit like this one. And so, got his axe. He always carried an axe. He was wise. And he went round the border of the field, thinking he's going to see a man next door ploughing or a woman picking some berries or something. But what do you think happened? You know, he went that way and he went this way, and he couldn't find anybody. And so he went back to where he was starting to plough and where he heard the voice to begin with. And he heard it again. It's like a woman's voice, and this time he could hear it. He could hear the voice and the words were going. The voice was saying, "Oh no, damn! I've broken my favourite peel, my favourite spoon for the oven. Oh, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do?" And it's like it was a voice. It was worrying about something, and you know, and so he shouted out. He thought, "Hello!" You know, he bent over and started talking to the ground. "Hello down there. If you put your broken thing out tonight, I will mend it for you." He was a generous man, and of course he didn't think nothing of it. And at the end of this bit of a field, there's a barrow, an old ancient place. And just when he was going home, he had to walk past it. He saw the ground where this barrow, this old ditch enclosure, you know, from our ancestors, way back. I mean, we think we're old as Anglo-Saxons and Vikings, but we're new here. Still, though my granddad isn't, my dad. And you know, he saw a spoon, this big ladle. You know, for him it was a normal size spoon. For a little elf, it was quite big. And the back of the handle, the bit of the handle was broken, and so he thought, oh, I could repair that. It wasn't fully broken; it just snapped, and it was still attached. So he picked it up, and he kind of shouted back, "I will bring it back tomorrow." And so he went home, and he got a little workshop in his longhouse, and he got a little bit of copper, and he made 4 little rivets, and he made a little plate, and he riveted it back on, because often in those times we would reuse things and recycle and repair, not just throw it in the bin or the rubbish heap at the back of your longhouse. You know, if you got a broken spoon, you sort it hard and off and add another bit of wood. You know what I mean? A spoon's a spoon at the end of the day. And so he did this, he repaired it, and not thought nothing about it until morning. And he got up, he had a nice breakfast of oats with a bit of milk, he had a few cows. He was lucky in that sense, you know. Oh yes, you know, he could have sold them for this. And you know, he went to the same field and he put back the spoon. You know, and he didn't think nothing of it. You know, he put it back in the barrow, the ditched enclosure, and there was an old bit of a stone in the middle as well, but it's overgrown with grass, because the old farmer, you know, they wouldn't plough over these places because they knew there was something supernatural and something about them which was very old, and therefore they had respect for the land and they had respect for the people that have lived there before them. So they'll leave these places alone and not plough over them. Not until much later on in history, when we stopped caring about such places and we thought more about coin, did they disappear. And so he put the spoon down and he went all day to work. He was working another field this time, repairing an old stream. Well, you know, it needed digging out. Or you've got to dig out your ditches. And he went back later on, thinking, you know, oh, I don't really believe in fairies, and the spoon will still be there. But to his surprise, the spoon had gone, and in its place was a little cake. And so he ate that cake. It was a tiny cake, a couple of mouthfuls, but it was the most gorgeous tasting cake he's ever had. And ever since that day, he felt great and healthy, and he lived to a good ripe old age. And that is a story of the elf and the broken peel, or the broken ladle. It's got a number of names, but it's not one that's often told, as most people just want to hear Snow White and the famous fairy tales. And it does make you think whether they're true or not, you know. Was it a high elf? I don't know. It looked quite happy to me, I would say, so it possibly was. It didn't live in a wood. If you like this story, leave a comment, and above all, share the video. Oh yes, by sharing you'll make me very happy and the channel will grow. And until the next time we meet again, I'm taking away my Dane axe, and I'm taking away my other axe. Don't leave weapons lying about. Goodbye. Oh, that was a wonderful story. It's time for me to go. Bye bye.